Hey everybody, and welcome to the director's commentary for Scarlet. I am Brien, the director, obviously, and if you have not seen the film yet, you could maybe check it out in the link in the description, and I really advise you do so, otherwise there isn't really any point in watching this. But without further ado, let's get straight into it. So we open with a quote from W.B. Yeats: "She grew restless and carried them away to other worlds, for death does not destroy her power." This comes from his poem Dark Muse, where he's talking about an Irish mythological figure called the Lon She. Basically, the Lon She is a kind of vampiric, siren-like character who feeds on, who preys on young men, and she she attracts them with this kind of allure. Like, she has this kind of spell of attraction that she keeps them under. In some of the legends, she also offers them great inspiration and great fortune at the cost that they die young. And I think this kind of has a lot of parallels with like selling your soul to the devil. You know, I think it has a lot of similarities to it. So Scarlet is very, 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 very loosely inspired from both the devil and from the Lon She in that regard. And that also mirrors something that she says later on. She says she will quietly refer to herself as the devil. And we'll be talking a bit about that in a bit. But, you know, because I suppose Scarlet also kind of sees herself as the devil, which, again, I'll be talking about in a bit. But, so we're introduced to our main guy here, Craig. He's a kind of, Craig is kind of vulnerable, breakable guy, as Robert points out. Robert, on your hand, who's sitting in the back seat, we'll see him now. That's Harley playing Denise. Robert plays the role of a kind of alpha male, kind of, boisterous guy. He's willing to kill Scarlet there in the street. He's not willing to go by the plan. You know, he's just kind of impulsive. Well, Craig is kind of basically being kicked out of the car by two guys here. So I think there's an interesting chemistry between them. Vulnerability and procrastination versus impulsiveness. And the two guys and the two girls have an interesting difference between them as well. And that Harley is kind of mother-like, old sister kind of vibe. She doesn't like the guys fighting. She's keeping the guys under control in a kind of good way. She's stopping them from killing each other. But Scarlet, on the other hand, is kind of more. She's in control. She's powerful. She's a very positive female representation in that regard. But she also has a negative side, which is more obvious, obviously. But so basically, I'm kind of leaving it open for discussion in that regard. You know, a lot of people said it's very pro-woman. And it is pro-woman in general, but like, it was a concern I had at the start is that people read Scarlet the wrong way. You know, I mean that, as if women being in control or whatever is bad. It's not specifically what I'm trying to say, but I'm not going to say exactly what I'm trying to say neither. You know, because I want to keep it open. Harley playing Denise gives Craig a garlic water, and I called it garlic water as opposed to holy water, specifically to cut ties with God. You know, this is a kind of godless world where evil prevails. You know, this is kind of, God has kind of abandoned these characters. You know what I mean? And and it's kind of left Scarlet control. Control and power is a huge part of Scarlet's character, and it's one of the things I enjoyed most about working with this character is that she's not quite. She has a bit of depth to her. She has this kind of narcissism about her. That's a big thing that me and Nina focused a lot on as well. I think Nina loves Scarlet for that reason as well. It's like that she's lived for so long, she's gone almost insane. She sees herself as omnipotent. She sees herself as this, but at the same time, she also has a kind of deep-seated shame and low self-esteem, much like a real-life narcissist. You know, and I kind of in earlier drafts I saw Scarlet as being like, kind of like Jeffrey Dahmer or Ted Bundy, kind of having that allure, again, all that kind of allure, and it also kind of emphasizes on power and control, which is a huge part of like psychopaths and serial killers and the sorts. So this bit here was actually improvised. In the script there's supposed to be dialogue, and the purpose of the scene really was to establish the power dynamic between Craig and Scarlet. But with a bit of hindsight, I'm glad that we managed to do it without dialogue, because basically what happened was the lights went out, the fuse blew and the main lights went out, and we had to use LED battery powered lights as well as like the candle lights and the main lights of the pub. Peter, our cinematographer, was amazing. Well, we did that. He's very good for thinking on his feet. But I was glad that we managed to bring that across, kind of show that show not tell sort of idea. You know, Scarlet gives him a gaze here, which is an important theme throughout the film. She has this kind of vampiric gaze, which I'll talk more about in a bit because you see it more than once throughout the entire film. Funny enough, this scene was actually my favourite scene to direct. I don't know how fun it was for Nina or James. Thankfully, the two of them actually knew each other already. So, understandably, it's a pretty hard thing for them both to do. I mean, Nina is married, but then James it just wasn't a very flattering, glamorous role to just kind of, basically just be lying there and acting terrified of Nina. Like, it was just, it was very unflattering that way. But also worked very well with the dynamics and the characters, and that Scarlet is, like, throughout this entire scene for me, Scarlet is kind of constantly just trying to break him, and she's kind of deliberately being unpredictable in that regard. And you see when he reaches for the bag here, that's actually my hand, by the way. That's actually my hand reaching for the bag. But she flicks her eyes over, and for me, this is where she already knows that, she's not stupid. She knows that this guy is wanting to hurt her. Either because he's an asshole human being, he's probably already a rapist, or because she's, or he could be a vampire hunter or whatever. She's still trying to figure that out. So a lot of direction I gave Nina, and this was very about that. That she's trying to work around to his neck, and he's trying to work over to the bag to get the stake out. When we shot this, at this point, the lights hadn't gone out yet, so I think it's the scene that we actually had the most time with. And I think that's why, for me, and anyway, from a directing standpoint, it was probably the most, the most, I wouldn't say the most fun, but the most kind of, I suppose that's what I did it for. I think it's what, as a director, I would have liked more kind of time with the other scenes. But anyway, the gaze that she gives him here, again, is an important aspect in that, kind of in the vampire mythology, vampires have a kind of gaze of, kind of put you in a trance. It didn't sound Latin in Stephen King's novel. And then here's when he reaches for the bag. This is just when the lights went out. This is the very last thing that was shot. There was meant to be a whole lot more coverage. So I think that's just a big part of no budget filmmaking as well. Sometimes you have to make compromises, and you can take different angles of things. Like several times throughout the production, I refer to them as being a spider and fly. So I had flashes of a spider coming up on screen, like to kind of, and most people don't even know it's a spider, but I think it's kind of subconsciously kind of giving you that message. I can't remember whether or not we did this on purpose, but it's interesting as well that the camera pans from James up to her, because it mirrors the scene from my uncle's film Red Room, which there's a few references to in this, where a woman is lying on the bed and the camera pans up to a guy who's about to kill her. And again, I can't remember whether or not we did it on purpose, but I'm going to say we did it on purpose. It was all premeditated. I love the spotlight effect here. We got here. This we actually got. Peter actually got this by intended grips to light it with their phones. They're literally just holding their phones, that's the level of desperation we got at this stage. But I think it works. I think it's a good visual metaphor as well, in that he's kind of in the spotlight. He's kind of, he's Scarlet. He's humiliated, broken, and she's I suppose both their true colours have been revealed now. And his true colours is a little bit less flattering than what Scarlet's true colours are. But then there's another layer then, is this Scarlet actually being herself, or is she still acting here in order to further destabilise her prey? Everybody loves the voiceover she gives here. It's not the voiceover, the filter of the kind of demon voice, like the little devil in her. This scene was lit only with candles, I think. I think there's one blue LED light in there. But there's her "I am the devil" line that I talked about earlier on. It's tying more with her narcissism as well, that she kind of sees herself as the devil. I imagine in Scarlet's backstory that she kind of sees herself... in Scarlet's backstory, she was once kind of betrayed by the devil, I imagine. Because the devil kind of... I imagine she kind of got into this through the dark arts, which comes at an ugly cost, which is where deep-seated shame is coming from. That scene that we just saw there as well, we're meant to see more of that. We're meant to see, in the script, she bites into his head and jerks his shoulders, twisting his neck. And then she was meant to let him drop, and his head was just meant to slide off of her fangs. It was meant to be very bloody and wet and sloppy and messy. It would have been good, but I kind of, with a bit of hindsight, I'm glad that we don't quite know Craig's final fate neither. You know, did she kill him, or did she turn him into a vampire? Is he enslaved, or did he, you know, did something else happen? We don't know. But this scene was shot months later, and I like the juxtaposition where Greg comes in behind her playing Robert, and you know he's not you know, he says, you know, Scarlet, you know we already see a bit of a more complex power dynamic going on here. That the two of them want power, the two of them are going to fight for this power and control, and we see this look that Scar gives him. It's obviously it's an ambiguous ending. Like, you know, it's this could be a look of defeat, and that she already knows that he's not going to go down as easy as Craig. It could be she couldn't realise who he already is, and she could be she's about to kill him right there and then. You know, we don't quite know. I suppose that's what an ambiguous ending is all about. In regards to a sequel or a follow-up, people have asked about I'm kind of on and off about it, and Nina, who played Scarlet, I think she's, not to be speaking for her, but from the conversations I had with her, I'm kind of getting the impression that she's interested in revisiting the character, but you know, of course, the script would have to be good, you know, the film had to be worth making, but yeah, I suppose, otherwise, I'd be genuinely interested to know, you know, would people be more interested to see just some more Scarlet, like be a follow-up or just another Scarlet film at all. So do let me know in the comments. And yeah, and that was Scarlet. So first I'd like to thank Peter and Greg. This is my second collaboration with them. They were a great joy to work with. And I'd also like to thank all the cast. James, as I said, James, this was a tough role for James. People underestimate how tough it was for him, as well as Nina. And I'd also like to thank Harley. It's my second collaboration with Harley as well. I think Harley can kind of embody just anything any role you give her. She's very talented, and I look forward to working with her again in the future. And then of course I'd like to thank Nina. Nina was very she's just a lot of fun to work with. You know, she's very dedicated to this role. She put a lot of thought even into the costume, and kind of, you know, disagreed with me on things, you know, in a good way. You know, very kind of healthy work relationship. You know, so and then I'd you know, Tyke Flinter and David Hamilton, who you know, did the music. They did an amazing job. Their two styles contrasted very well. I'm very happy with everyone's work on it, because I think an important part of being a director is to not see people as your minions, as so to speak. You know, see, there are people who work with you. There quite literally are people who work with you. This quite literally is a film made by a lot of us, and yeah. So I'd just like to thank everybody who worked on it and everybody who watched it and the show support. And that's it. So again, links in the description if you'd like to check out, if you haven't checked out the film already. And that's it. Thank you very much. Thank you for watching.